Your first place Denver Broncos continue to hammer opponent after opponent, just rendering them defenseless. We'll keep an eye on what happens on a short week as they get ready for the Raiders. And most every Major League Baseball team will send a general manager to the GM meetings. Most every team has a general manager.
You know, it's hard to follow that up, the way he sets us up. But we're back, maybe not by popular demand, but we are back. Ron Zappolo, Woody Paige, Tom Green, After the Horn.
Ron, here's the problem we have. We use all our good stuff when we're just sitting around bullshitting.
You're exactly right, Woody. We're funny when we're bullshitting.
Not all of our good stuff.
Oh,
so the
God.
Broncos scratch out another win. They end up beating a second-team quarterback, and they were missing key players as well, especially Pat Surtain, and they did find a way to win. But they've yet to find that beautiful game against a good team. And Houston was a pretty good team they saw.
Well, right up until C.J. Stroud got hurt.
Until then.
Yeah, because you're the one that talked about it. One of you said last week, well, they were not considered very good, but they're coming on. I think that was Tom, actually. Yeah. I'm watching the game, and I go, yes, Sean Payton leads all-time NFL world in screen passes. And I went, what is it with him? The week before against Dallas, they were actually throwing the football down the field. But he is so in love. He must have 87 on that big cardboard poster he holds, 87 different screen passes. I can't just get over that. When we were here 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said, I'm not convinced yet. I remember saying that because I'm watching a play caller who the game has kind of passed by, and I said that to you.
But the screen pass is supposed to be an easy throw for a quarterback, and I'll tell you what, Bo Nix didn't have many easy throws when that game hit the fourth quarter.
Didn't have many good throws.
Well, that's what I mean. Everything looked like it was hard for him. His feet, his head.
I was stunned at how inaccurate he was. And I know Houston's got a good defense. The way the Broncos have beaten one team with a winning record,
right?
Philadelphia. I don't believe the way that they are playing is sustainable when the level of competition will get better, and it will get better.
Not this week, it won't.
Not this week. This week will be a scrimmage. But after this week, you're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, after a bye, which the Chiefs will be on this week, is an all-time record 21-4. You better be ready to up your game because you cannot, as Woody says, throw screen passes, not run the ball enough, and expect to wake up in the fourth quarter and be in the game. You can do that against the Giants. You can do it against the Jets. You can do it against Davis Mills. But you're not going to do that against Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert.
I look at that schedule and I go, this reminds me of a Nebraska schedule,
right?
Not conference schedule, that they've been so fortunate that
and
they're now playing.
It got easier because Jaden Daniels got hurt the other night.
It's hard now to look at that schedule and not see them winning 12 or 13 games. Their toughest games will be in the AFC West, and Green Bay is going to be tough. But we also saw Green Bay spit one up this week.
I think you're right. You can't predict the NFL. It's unpredictable. Let's say they do win 12 or 13 games. And let's say that they do win the division, which I think is possible.
Within their reach.
I'm just going to say that in this bizarre year of the NFL, you might be better off being a wild card team and going to Indianapolis or Pittsburgh or New England than you might be winning your division and having a home playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills.
See that.
Well, we used the word bullshit earlier in that, so I'm going to use it in a different way right now. What you're saying is bullshit.
Okay, why is
I
that?
don't want you to win the division.
I didn't
no,
say-
I want you to be a wild card
You know,
and
look
have
at
to
this
go
guy.
to a hard
Taking
place
my-
where it's 15 degrees below zero.
These media
and
guys
then-
always twist your words.
I don't get that at all. How you could say
No,
that?
I'm
What
not-
you want to do is you just keep beating up on the Raiders and you win at home against the Chiefs. Commanders are now in a bad way because
You notice
of the
how he
quarterback.
said win at home against the Chiefs? Like, that's no big deal. You just win at home against the Chiefs.
Well,
because
they
they've
killed them last
they've
year.
won so much against the Chiefs the last 10 years. Of course they'll beat the Chiefs. That's bullshit.
They will not beat the Chiefs if they throw those 33 screen passes.
I got news for you, my friend. They're not going to beat the Chiefs if they do all the right things. But after I watched the Bronco game, I watched the Chiefs and the Bills, which you guys probably did too. Tell me you didn't feel like that the level of play in that game was on a different level.
You see two things. One, as you see quarterbacks who are comfortable even when the world around them is falling apart. Those two guys are just head up, looking around, making decisions, making plays. Their feet aren't all over the place. Two is, if we're jumping over the Raiders to Kansas City, the Chiefs aren't going to be kicking 5 field goals.
No, they're not.
So you're going to have to deal with more pressure put on your offense by their offense.
Bo Nix has got to raise the level of his game.
Yes, he
He
does.
just needs
and
to play the whole game like he does in the fourth quarter.
Right. He needs a different alarm clock.
But it's a
I mean,
different
like,
situation.
compliment him, please. He still played well. It was just a little
Natasha,
delayed.
you're not old enough to remember this, but Dan Reeves did that to John Elway.
Sure.
That he'd play a conservative game.
Until the fourth
And
quarter.
then he'd say to John, now turn it on in the fourth quarter. That's why John led the world in comeback victories, because he actually could.
I see the parallel, but I will say this. Bo Nix had plays to make in the first 3 quarters of the game. He just missed guys. He missed plays. He missed throws that could have made that game a cruiser when you're playing Davis Mills
which
ultimately.
surprises me because he was help me out, somebody, the most accurate percentage of passing when he was at Oregon.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters, Woody, because we know one thing.
And
all
those
of
were
us,
short
from
passes,
covering a
shorties.
lot of college and pro football. In college football, and you know this better than anybody, everybody's running wide open.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. In pro football, I remember Elway telling me this many times. In college football, they're open like that. In the NFL, that means you're open, and you've got to fit the ball into that window.
I'm really impressed with what Ron's saying, that he had those conversations with John, because he did the John Elway show. I did it one year at Channel 7. But John would say to me, you think we ought to get another beer? That's all.
Well, I didn't say that was the only thing John said to me. He said many things over the years, but that was one of them.
So that was really exciting, unfortunately, for Bronco fans who had to sweat that one out. What was really exciting this weekend, though, was Game 7 of the World Series. The baseball of the entire series
Incredible.
Was tremendous. Game 7 certainly goes into the argument as not only the greatest Game 7 maybe in baseball history, in any sport. It was every pitch mattered, and you had to be dialed in on every pitch, every play, and both teams played great.
You know what else I loved about it? Baseball, unlike any other game, lends itself to us sitting there and second-guessing every move that a manager makes. And I got to tell you, I don't think Dave Roberts is a great manager. I think he's a great base stealer. Thank God for him. But everything he did in these last 2 games worked out.
Yeah, you push a button, your player needs to still
Do it.
deliver.
But I mean, when you throw Andy Pages in there, and like 2 minutes later he's stumbling over Kike Hernandez to save the World Series, things work out.
Well,
Yes, and you just wonder in that situation, if he hadn't inserted a new outfielder and they run into each other, which is basically what happened. We're talking about inside the park home run.
Right.
But I have a couple of questions about the game that I haven't figured out yet, and you guys can help me here. When Toronto puts IKF in there as a pinch runner in the bottom of the 9th inning of Game 7.
maybe to be aggressive.
And he gets to third with 1 out. And there's a ground ball to second, and the second baseman, who's the hero, stumbles and is still able to throw him out by that much. Are you just weighted to third base, or do you not get a lead? I mean, he should have scored easily on that play.
It was, the replays, you could see that his lead was minimal. It was related to Muncy and his proximity.
But it was also, I think, from what I read, related to the night before when Addison Barger got picked off second base in the bottom of the 9th, and the third base coach says to him, hey, if it's a line drive, you got to stay close. But The World Series is hanging in the balance. You got what you needed, a ground ball.
The secondary lead is
The
probably what he didn't get. Yeah.
He's got to score. Hey, if you're going to do that, then leave Bo Bichette in the game and let him run, because if it goes to extra innings, I want Bo Bichette's bat in the lineup.
Well, best game sevens, we've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah.
That one would go on the list. I think
Hey,
of the
before we leave that, can we give the Yamamoto
Oh man,
one of the
Kurt
all-time-
Schilling Award.
Yes, great. I mean, 96 pitches the night before, and he comes in for not one, not two, but 3 scoreless innings.
Very good innings.
With command,
Yeah.
under pressure. I tip my cap to him.
I just to add to that between innings, when they're in the dugout before that last inning, he's over there going through his pitching motion.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of missed by everybody. They weren't making a big deal of it, but I thought he is so intent on, because he said after the series was over that in order to pitch, to come back in, he said, I'm going to have to kind of change what I'm doing because I can't throw exactly the same way. Well, he was still working on that in the third inning of pitching in the game. And I thought, now, there's a reason why you give a guy like that the most money, and he pitches every
And that
time.
everybody wanted him. Everybody was after him.
And he paid off.
Yeah.
So speaking of the World Series, once the World Series ends, 2026 baseball season really starts. Free agency, teams start making moves.
Sure.
They're either cutting guys loose or signing them, or the free agent frenzy will start. The general managers will meet in a few days, and the Rockies are going to send who to the general manager meetings?
Maybe they should send, like,
There is no who.
I'm trying to think of somebody
Chris
from
Bryant
the
is
past
free.
who might be good, you know?
Bob Gebhardt.
Bob Gibb.
Yeah, I mean, we took people kind of. You'd see Bob, who became
Sure.
after he was fired, quit. He quit. He didn't want to be around the Monforts, but he was a scout for the Twins or somebody, and he would show up at the ballpark, and you think he's the guy that actually did a better job than any of the other, and he didn't have a staff. He didn't have. Not only did they not have analytics, which they've never had, but they didn't even have scouts. They had scouts that were like, high school football coaches who were on pensions that were friends of his.
But that's kind of where they are right now, right? Like who?
They will tell me where they are. We get the word that they've narrowed it down to 2 guys. I honestly, we all follow baseball. I honestly never heard of either one of them.
Okay.
That's fine. They're assistant general managers, or they're deep in the front office, deep back of the room in the front office. Okay, all right. It's not the guy that I would bring in, but at least they firm about this. And now we found out that that's not going to go. So they're interviewing one of their former very good relief pitchers, who's still pitching in baseball. He was pitching for the Yankees.
Adam Ottavino, he might have just hung it up, but if we,
But wait,
I
wait
think
till
of a
spring,
team
wait
at
till
college.
spring
I'm
training
feeling pretty
comes.
good, Skip.
Yeah, when somebody needs a veteran reliever.
Well, here's a guy. No, I'm just going to sound a little bit like a joke. You say he's out of baseball in terms of playing. At spring training, if somebody calls him and says, we'd like for you to come into our camp, and he's got to decide whether he wants to be the CEO of the Rockies or a
go
relief
pitch again.
pitcher with the Royals. He
Can
would
I-
take the
can-
Royals
can-
job.
Can I ask you both a question? And I mean this with respect. After 3 straight 100-loss seasons and no ratings on television, and I'm sure do people really care anymore?
I think people would. I remember.
I don't mean people like the 3 of us. I mean,
a couple of your friends. When I would sit with Mark Mosier and Doug Moe up at the first year of the hockey Avalanche came back, and Mosier would kid Doug about the banners, the Nugget banners up there, and he would say, like people ever care about the Nuggets, who were terrible at the time. And I said to him, just so you know, Mosier, people love the Nuggets. You just need a reason. This team was terrible and drawing 11,000, 12,000 for a reason. It's the same thing with the Rockies. Rockies got to give them a reason, and it's going to take a while for them to get a reason. But I want to know, these 2 front runners, one of them's about to get the job, both of them don't. Did they bail on the Rockies, or did the Rockies say,
How do you know? I can't.
What I'd be concerned about is why we don't know, and I'll put myself in that. We should know. We in the media should know what went wrong here. Why did they choose those two people? We don't know. We don't know. There's not a moment that we couldn't. Somebody in the media, I'll blame myself, didn't go to their friends and say, "What makes your friend a candidate to be the chief of operations, baseball operations of the Rockies?" We don't know why they chose these two guys. We don't, because I did research of saying, what is it in their past that makes them?
right.
The guy with Arizona got out of college and was working as a doctor or something. Was going to go to med school, and Arizona got to the World Series. But I mean, you don't think of the Arizona Diamondbacks as a breeding ground for great leadership in front offices. And I look and I go, why these two guys? Why didn't somebody from the Rockies say, well, we got some candidates we're looking at, and they're good in analytics and design.
I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what we do.
But why would they?
I'll tell you what we know. We know that they don't really care, because if they did care, these names wouldn't be part of it. They would identify 6 current general managers who have all won a lot in the past. They would contact them. They would get
3
permission
months
to
ago.
talk to them, and they would make them offers that they couldn't refuse to come to Denver. And until they do that, and we all know who these people are, we can identify them. They don't want to hire one of those
The
guys.
calendar tells the story, though. I mean, those general manager meetings, when players are starting to move, the GM meetings are going to happen, and
It goes fast.
And you have a rudderless ship, and
Because they
and
don't care.
Who makes the decisions? I mean, is it really just Dick and Walker Monfort? Is there anyone else in that organization
other than Dick and Walker Monfort? Who else is there?
That's what I'm wondering.
So it's Dick and Walker Monfort. Listen, I like Dick. Do you think Dick is sitting up at night, sleepless nights, because the Rockies have lost 103 years
Why
in
do
a row?
tell me this? Why do you like Dick?
Because on a personal level, I've talked to Dick. I like him. Do I think he's a good owner? No. I think he's terrible.
I'll tell you why I like him. The one
But-
thing I
but-
like
but
about him
that
is I
sounds
never wonder what he's thinking. He'll tell you exactly
will
what he's
tell you.
thinking.
Oh, sure, but
Is he good at it? Well,
No.
the proof is
this is
on the pages.
This is a terrible comparison here, but every time somebody kills somebody, they go to his neighbors and they go, "I like the guy."
I don't know.
quiet
thought
guy.
the guy was
Well, hey, okay, Dick's done a bad job. I don't know.
I'm just saying. How many times have you heard about a serial killer?
Oh, God.
He cut my lawn.
He doesn't care. He
But-
doesn't care. He's
You
more
can't say
concerned-
you like Dick Monfort. I mean,
I can say I like him if I want. Tom
no,
likes
you
him too.
can't, because
I am.
somebody who has destroyed. We're not going to get into politics, but somebody who
We
has
can
destroyed.
get into politics.
He's destroyed a franchise.
Yeah.
He has personally destroyed a franchise. And you go, oh, yeah, he'll tell you what he thinks.
Listen.
What? No, he doesn't. He goes into hiding for months like a bear in hibernation. And you're saying, oh, yeah, he'll tell you what he thinks.
so
I was
outside of the
closer to
serial-
him in the media than anybody, because we both stayed at Walking Stick or
Talking
Talking Stick.
Because I stayed there because the general manager gave me a deal. He stayed there because that's where the owner stayed. Everybody else stayed at the Motel 6. And so I talked to him out back, and we'd have dinner together, and we'd talk about it. And I thought then, I want to keep talking to him because I want to find out why he doesn't know what he's doing.
Because he's more concerned about building Kelly
No.
McGregor Square and the rooftop party deck
Right field
than he
pavilion.
is about building a successful
Why
baseball
would the
operation.
team, under any circumstance, hire any of the three of us, really, to be the... Because we kind of follow baseball. We are nice guys, but we can't do it.
No,
Guess
nor-
what? His background is slaughterhouses
Yes.
in Greeley, Colorado, and his claim to fame is he had the Brett Favre Steakhouse in Green Bay. Well, go look what's there. It's an empty lot because the moment Brett
How do we get to the Brett Favre Steakhouse?
I was still hanging on to the
that
serial
was,
killer
that
and the
was
bear.
what you're talking about. You know, the Kelly McGregor Square. Well,
That's what Dick cares about.
Dick cared about.
They've got a
steakhouse
problem though
in
because you
Green
guys
Bay.
think he's going to walk in and win over a room. I mean I think it's a toxic job, and I think the
Yeah, I
next
agree.
manager, like if you want to be the manager of the Rockies, that's a career killer right now. You're going to go out there and you're going to drop 100.
You're right. Why would you want to be the manager or the GM of the Rockies?
I mean, there are
there's-
only so many jobs, and they might pay well, but it's your last stop on the train.
Go talk to the last 3 or 4 managers and ask them how that went for them.
So he's still into slaughtering. It's just careers.
Well,
It's
listen,
just a,
he could fix
so
it.
they have a general
but-
managers meeting. The Rockies are not going to have anybody there. They're going to have an owners meeting, and on the other side, they are going to have an owner there whose only concern in baseball is get a salary cap.
I was going to say,
bargain.
do you
So
remember
we
what
could
Dick
be-
said? This was like a year ago. He was the poster child for the Dodgers are ruining baseball.
Yeah.
How do you think he feels today about that?
How do you think the Dodgers feel about
no,
that?
he followed that
they
up.
have 2 words for Dick Monfort, and they're not happy motoring.
He followed that up a year later and said the San Diego Padres,
Padres.
were
Well, pretty
destroying
soon he'll have
baseball.
gotten all the teams in the division. The Diamondbacks and Giants are up next, so he'll get to them.
Ruining
You know, it's
baseball.
fun. It's funny, but it's not
No,
funny.
it's not. It's
It's
there's
not.
nothing
It's
funny
not.
about it.
It's sad because we could be we could be a great baseball town. We're a great sports
Exactly.
town. We could be a great baseball town, and through
Well,
no fault of our own, we're screwed.
Yeah,
Man,
and
we
we
are.
were a great baseball team.
We were for a short
for the
for
first
a,
2
first-
years
yeah.
when they were in Mile High Stadium.
when it was Jerry
they
McMorris,
set
Bob
all sorts
Gebhardt,
of records.
Baylor.
for
Don
attendance.
Baylor, real baseball, not McMorris so much, but Baylor and Gebhardt.
Who was the
Gebhardt, you told Drew on your show the other day, and I thought it was spot on, that Gebhardt is going to be, with history, looking back, he's going to look much better for the job that he did putting an expansion franchise
Yeah.
together. The amount of talent that he brought in.
Right, and Don Baylor also being
And
a
Don
rock.
Baylor.
You know, you can always question managerial decisions here and there. That's part of the job.
Well, you could
But he
question
was-
Don, but he would beat the hell out of you, too.
How often do you hear, particularly in football, you hear a leader of men?
Yeah,
Don Baylor.
Don
Exactly.
Of
Baylor
all the
was.
people I've ever been around, was a leader.
Don
of
Baylor
men.
was.
You could see by just talking to him for 2 minutes, there was a reason he would lead the league in getting hit. Because okay, you want to throw at me? Yeah,
I'm
okay,
right here.
Good.
I'll be right
Right
here.
about
Yeah,
that. You
throw
know,
it
I
at me.
remember doing a story with him once about being the all-time leader and getting hit by pitches. And I said, and he proudly said, I never went to the mound.
Nope.
And I go, what'd you do? He goes, I'd knock the shortstop or second base into center field when there was a ground ball. That got my point
Yeah,
across.
speaking of histories of the Rockies, one of their managers just got a job in Atlanta.
Walter
Walt
Weiss.
Walt Weiss.
And I think we would all agree that he's one of the nicest guys we've
Yep.
ever met. When he was the shortstop for the Rockies, I thought, man, there's not a better guy in baseball that should be a manager. And he got the Rockies job. The problem was they were the Rockies.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Walt Weiss. And so he battled back and went to. He soon was the bench coach
Bench
for the
coach
Braves.
and been down there
now
for a
he's
long
going to
time.
and I see people in Atlanta responding and saying he's not any good. You know, he wasn't any good with the Rockies and everything. He's going to be a good manager for them. He would have been a good manager for the Rockies.
Yeah.
He quit.
Yeah.
He'd maybe
People-
still
people
be.
will wanna
He
play for
quit.
him.
He didn't want to be the manager there anymore because of the same reason that Jim Tracy quit.
Same
They
thing.
didn't want to work for the guy you think is a nice guy. Dick Monfort. He is
Tom, help
who
me.
is
You
aptly
think he's a
who
nice
is-
guy, too.
who is aptly named.
I will
Thank
say
you.
this about Walt Weiss. One of my favorite Walt Weiss facts is he is from Tuxedo, New York.
New York. Tuxedo, New York.
It's a well-dressed
One of
town.
the nicer, I think we can all agree on this. Walt Weiss is one of the nicer people.
You like him, too.
I love Walt Weiss. I can give you some guys I don't like, if that makes you
Give me
feel.
one person in sports.
I know he's going to go with
Charlie Hayes.
I knew it'd be Charlie Hayes.
So Charlie Hayes.
I don't even.
Charlie
I'm
Hayes.
just saying Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes came here in the early. This will take 1 minute. Charlie Hayes came here at the beginning of the Rockies. He had played for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Thought he was really somebody, and he's the third baseman. And 280 kind of hitter. And at training camp down in Tucson, I wrote and said to one of the previous owners that the Rockies were going to break Roger Maris's record. And he said, "Well, who's going to do it? Bichette, Galarraga, I said, the whole team is going to hit 63 home runs. And so I'm in the press box at spring training. Jim Armstrong, who's the baseball beat writer and a great writer in the media, comes in and he said, whatever you do not go in the visitor's locker room. I said, why? He said, I just got beat up by Charlie Hayes because he thought I was you. He came over and he said, you're that Page guy. Yeah. And he started hitting on me. Oh. And I said, no, he's in the, you need to go up to the press box.
I always thought that was Charlie Hayes, was like you said, a good player, had some big hits in his life. And, but I always thought his greatest drawback was he always misidentified the writer he wanted to beat up. I mean, that's the kind of fundamental skill you want to have. If you're going to be a major league player.
I was going to say Charlie Hayes.
I knew you.
Yeah,
you and Charlie go way back.
But yeah, there's others. There's people that I did not get along with that I don't like. But Dick Monfort, while I think he's horrible at his job. It's not a bad person. This guy over here, this lunatic, is trying to say that he's comparing him to a murderer, for crying out loud. I mean, he's a bad owner. He's a bad owner. He didn't yet. He hasn't killed anybody.
So he hired his son, but it's not Son of Sam.
He just killed baseball, that's all. Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, if you're going to hire your son, don't you have to be at least Bill Belichick kind of good to hire your kid, or Marty Schottenheimer, or somebody who's had a lot of success?
It's hard to judge people in that role because you don't really ever see them work.
Well, but I can't judge him. His son, that he is now named executive vice president,
whatever he is,
would walk around Lodo when he was younger in a Rockies jacket and tell people he owned the Rockies. I was in bars. I mean, talking about good bars. I was Mr. Goodbar.
High end. Yeah.
And he would go around trying
Looking
to pick up women by saying he owned the Rockies. Is that a guy that was giving you analytical?
Well, I mean,
he's also younger.
Didn't
kid.
John Boland go around and say, "I'm the blood of the city," and
yes,
and don't you know who I am? And these are the problems with kids. That's why Pat Boland was so smart and one of the greatest owners ever. Instead of just bequeathing the Broncos to one of his children, he made sure that his lawyer and a couple other people said, don't just give it to anybody after I'm gone. Make sure that they're qualified. And now a lot of things happened because of that. There was a suit. There was a lot of things. But he knew enough to know, don't just give your kids something
to
like
finish
that.
with the Monforts, I would say this, though, that
good idea, by the way.
We need to finish with the Monforts.
When they named Walker, I thought, that was a mistake on Dick's part.
I think it
was a mistake on Walker's part to take it or to not turn it down too.
But I think, nice Dick that it's caused him, thought he was talking about Larry Walker when he said, "Get Walker on the phone. I want to name him."
You know what though? You're right. It was a mistake for Dick to offer it. It's hard to criticize the kid.
No, I know.
But that's what I tell you. Why am I stumbling here? I told you Dick Monfort is incompetent.
I'm not
and
saying
you're saying,
he's not
he does a good job in real estate.
You don't think that a guy that's incompetent can still be a nice person?
Look at me.
Look at Tom. Look at me. Look at you. I mean, come on. We're the poster boys for incompetent. What do you think we're doing sitting here?
I'm not incompetent. I told you before the show started that I was next to Paul McCartney.
That's true. Okay.
And Paul McCartney said to me at halftime, he said, out came a dog with a monkey on its back, dressed like a cowboy.
We're going to tell stories now.
And McCartney said to me, what in the hell is that? He actually used stronger words. And I said, that's a monkey on a, he does halftime shows. He said, I'm sharing the halftime show with a monkey on
he made a good point, though, and I don't know why, but I've been thinking about this for 15 minutes.
Oh,
when he talked about Dan Reeves telling Elway to be conservative and then to win the game in the fourth quarter. I'll never forget the famous Phil Esposito quote, and I interviewed him in here when he came in with the Rangers, and he repeated it. Before he went to the Bruins, he was with the Blackhawks, and Billy Ray, the coach, wouldn't play him. And so he's sitting there period after period. It's the third period. The Blackhawks are down 9-4, and he goes, Esposito, center that line. And Esposito looks at him and says, Coach, do you want me to tie the game or should I go ahead and win it?
But what ended up happening with something to keep in mind, Elway and Reeves hated each other.
That's true.
I'm not stretching that. They hated each other.
Hey, listen.
So, how does this play out with Bo Nix and Sean Payton? You don't think that Bo Nix wants to throw 20?
Yeah, I would agree.
He's got to put more good throws on tape, though, before he's going to get
that's what I'm saying.
cut
That-
loose.
that
He's still
Payton's-
missing guys.
I don't want to
Payton might
compare
be-
Bo Nix to John Elway
Just
just
yet?
quite yet.
Yeah, but Payton, is there a thought that maybe he'd like to see the backup quarterback who was so good in the exhibition?
Boy, I
No.
don't think so.
No.
No, I
No,
don't think so.
100% no.
He-
He is tied to Bo Nix, and in fact, I think he loves the national narrative that he was the, quote, smart guy to pass on all the other guys because he determined that Bo Nix was exactly the guy that I want, and I think he loves that out there, so he ain't going away from Bo Nix.
If he was going to do that, like if he really all of a sudden decided he really wanted Jarrett Stidham to play instead of Bo Nix, I think we'd call him probably analogous to a serial killer.
Nice guy.
On that note,
And there you see Woody and his chalkboard. This chalkboard this week. What are those beautiful flowers with blue petals and yellow centers? I forget.
I feel like I'm in the doctor's office. I can barely
So,
read that.
This was the best logo that the
The Bronco.
ever had.
Yeah, that helmet.
By far.
And it
By
was
far.
it was done in one day by a Denver Post artist who was doing just a drawing for a Denver Post
For the
sports
paper,
section
yeah.
a long time ago, and the Broncos paid him about $5 and said, "Can we use this?" And he went, "Sure, yeah."
It's now
do
worth
it.
No, that's a
$3
good
billion.
story. I
And
always
people-
thought it was Fred Gerke that came up with that.
No,
Maybe-
that was the Rams.
okay.
He came up
On
with
the
the
helmet.
horn on the
horn.
helmet, the
Well,
artwork.
That's pretty cool too.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, time for It's Your Move.
I think, though, that the best thing that ever happened with the Colorado State Rams is there were two brothers, and one of them was named Lawrence, and the other one was named Larry. And I always thought that was interesting.
Sounds like Newhart. Daryl and Daryl. All right, It's Your Move. Let's see what we got this week. We're going to talk about choosing a repeat World Series champ. Do you like this year's Dodgers, now 2 in a row, or do you go with those Yankees from way back when?
I go with the Yankees from way back when because my high school math tells me they got 3 in a row and the Dodgers only have 2.
You did well in high
I
school.
did pretty well. That's why I got out of high school. I knew math wasn't my strong suit, but
Yes, I would. I rarely agree with you, but I agree with you on that those Yankees were dominant. I thought the Dodgers had a lot of lapses
I agree.
defensively. I thought they are not very talented.
I
at
thought they
some-
underachieved most of the year.
Yeah.
But if you look at their payroll and their talent, the Padres were neck and neck with them all year, and then even in the series,
We talked at length about the Rockies. One thing they've never done is go to the Asian countries.
Right.
Charlie Monfort tried to do it at one point. They brought a pitcher from South Korea, and that was the extent of it. But the Dodgers are so reliant on great Japanese.
Don't you think part of it,
talent.
Woody, is that with Ohtani, these other guys, Sasaki and Yamamoto, they all want to play with Ohtani,
Well, they
and
also
they like
know.
the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's closer to home, and it's Ohtani.
Japanese population
And the Japanese
on
population.
the West Coast, Seattle. Seattle kind of started that with Ichiro, and then has kind of backed off that.
Well, San
But
Francisco,
I think
You know what else why I like the Yankees? One guy that the Dodgers don't have and have been looking for 2 years, Mariano Rivera.
sure.
He was a difference.
Well, they also did have a great Japanese player as well. Hideki Matsui.
Hideki Matsui,
Yeah, he
who
was a
was one of the
key-
more
What was his
underrated
nicknames?
left-handed clutch.
My
Godzilla,
agent,
right?
My agent called me when I was working in New York, and he said his mother was such a big fan of the
Matsui?
Japanese. Yeah, and she would like a bobblehead doll. And I said, "What's a bobble? What is the bobblehead doll?" It's Godzilla, because that was his nickname.
Yeah,
Was Godzilla. And I went all over New York looking for Godzilla. I said, "I'll send you a bobblehead of Godzilla."
People ask about the bobbing Buddha behind you. When you said bobblehead, I thought of your little buddy by the Bronco logo over there.
I thought the Rockies, I'm sorry, going back, but the one thing I thought was funny is the Rockies should have had bobblehead nights for stars on other teams.
Yeah.
Because we were talking
That's their
during
fan base
when
reality.
fan base of
that's
the Rockies have lost their fan base.
Aren't the Rockies sick of performing nightly in
we're
front of?
not
sure,
done beating up the
talk to the
Rockies.
players.
Well, we got more. But I mean, don't
Stan
you get,
Musial
you know what's
bobblehead night.
amazing? So I'm watching a little bit of the Giants 49ers game
Right.
last week, and the people in New York, and especially the New York press, outraged.
Why are you pointing at me?
Outraged, because we're back there, that the 49ers took over MetLife Stadium, that it was a sea of red, that Jackson Dart had to go to the silent count because they couldn't hear. And I thought, well, that's what the Rockies have every night. Every night, it's always the opposing
Well, then
team.
why don't you go with it? Yes,
I
over
agree
the
with
years
you.
I've talked to players and they go, it's really tough to go into your stadium and know that people are pulling for the other side, but they really should take advantage of it and say, okay, Ohtani's coming to town, he's pitching, we'll give away Ohtani bobbleheads.
Yeah.
But you know what?
You would sell out the place.
You know
every
what got
night.
me? I went to Fenway in September for a Yankee game, and it was great because the stakes were high and everything. And here I am, 74 years old, and I'm sitting next to this nice family, husband and wife, two daughters. They all got Yankee shirts on. And after about the third inning, I'm like, shut the hell up. You're in Fenway. Get the hell. And I thought, whoa,
Boy.
easy now, easy.
There used to be
Yeah.
so many fistfights in those games through the
But you
70s
know what?
and 80s.
Look at this.
Uh-oh. All-time Major League Baseball greats. This is Jeter versus Ortiz.
Well, if we're gonna talk clutch hitter.
No, that doesn't say all-time clutch.
Well, maybe we
hitter.
should do who's worse on the Fox postgame show.
They
Derek
both are.
Jeter or David Ortiz.
They
It's a
both are.
neck and neck
I'm going to
battle.
take A-Rod.
I'll go with
I'm going to
you
go
on
off the
A-Rod.
board.
I'll recuse myself on that one. You guys.
I'll tell you this. I grew up a Yankee fan, and Derek Jeter's everyone's idea of the perfect ball player. It seemed like when the Yankees played the Red Sox, David Ortiz batted 16 times every game. He was always on deck or coming up and always doing damage. He was the most relied upon hitter who always seemed to come through than I'd ever seen. So I'm going to go with David Ortiz.
He was the greatest clutch hitter of this generation.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Derek Jeter. I'm in Little Italy one night with my date, and
Sounds like a
in
good
comes-
story here.
an Italian restaurant, and we're
It's your
on the
move.
back deck, and Jeter comes in, and I say, "Hey, Derek," and he sits at the table next to me, and he says, "Woody, good to see you," because I'd known him when he would come in with Yankees to Coors Field, and so I'm sitting there talking to my date, and Derek's pointing at me. And I went, "Yeah, Derek, good to see you. Have a nice time with your date and everything." He's now up, pointing at me. And the date says, "I don't think he's saying hello." I turn around and there's a rat about 2 feet tall on the brick face behind me. Derek Jeter was trying to warn me away from a rat.
We're not going to say what restaurant this was?
It's where in The Godfather. I will not come down on. In The Godfather, there's a scene where somebody puts a knife through somebody on the bar.
Yeah.
That would be
And
Luca.
they
That
still-
would be Luca Bratz.
Luca
Yeah,
Bratz.
and they still
I'm reading The Godfather again.
they still have a
Mario.
circle around where the knife
Yeah.
goes through there. And I would sit at the bar constantly, but they had a little back porch deck area where you go outside. But the rats in New York.
You know, my
So-
story is
so I
I
picked-
ran
I picked
into
Derek
Woody at
Jeter.
a restaurant about a year ago,
Right.
and I went up to say hello, and he ignored me. Then he came after, and he came back, and he sat and talked to me.
He
But
big timed
He
you.
big timed
Oh,
me, but
my
that's okay. I knew
goodness.
he loved me.
Well,
You know, You got any brushes with fame you want to?
No, just you two. Every week I sit down with you two guys. That's what I tell everyone. I said,
God.
I learn a lot.
Some local, you sit down and run the Jake Jabs or something.
Let's go.
Right, you seem like you're in a good mood, but do you have anything that's bugging you?
The only thing
Was that it? Was that it?
Was that it? We're going to go.
There was not.
You're Jeter, and Tom
Ortiz.
and I are Ortiz.
Well, what? So there's not one more. That's all they could come
Is there
up
one
with
more?
this
Where
week?
do we get the money to do these?
I don't
mean,
know.
do you
Where
think
do
there's
We could do one more if you want. Otherwise,
These questions are much
I want
better
one
than
more,
we can
'cause
do.
Natasha and Woody want one more. Let's do
Let's
one
go
more.
one more.
Let's see what's
Yes.
on deck here.
Rod Smith and Cinco.
Oh, this isn't
This
close.
is pretty easy.
Cinco.
Yeah, this is it.
Pretty easy for me.
Rod Smith is just not only as a player but as a person. They're in different categories. Chad Ochocinco was a great receiver,
But he was
Rod
all about
Smith,
himself. Rod was
yeah.
about team.
Championships
Yep.
and life leading up to and after football. And if you look at the numbers, there they are.
All right, there's the numbers. What does that tell us? They're pretty even.
Yes, but I talked to Rod a few years ago, and I said the problem for him getting in the Hall of Fame is there is not a larger backup.
Yeah.
Having
Wide
been
receivers.
on that committee for years, wide receivers,
Yep.
there've been so many great wide receivers that you have to get in line. I mean, really. And Rod, it will take a long time.
It would.
Before he would.
But if we
were
talked
get
to
in there.
Terrell Davis about him, he'd put him in there because he'll tell you
Any teammate.
every day that ends in Y, Ed McCaffrey and Rod Smith sprung me on a lot of those big plays.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about what's making you angry. Because
Besides Woody.
Let's let Woody go. I think Woody's got the,
all right, Woody, cut
Yes,
it loose.
we talked about it. We talked about the party deck, and before the show went on today,
can't get away from
there were people involved, Natasha, who's right over here, saying that that's the best bar in Denver. No, it's not the
Well, wait
best
a minute.
bar.
Hold on. She's young enough. She's more.
that's the thing. I think people in their 20s might have a different perspective on. Everybody goes to ballpark.
Oh,
you
sure.
spend the day there.
Well, you have your Rockies hat on.
Well, hold on. We got to let Woody make his point
No, that's
before
I
we
want to talk about
goof on
people
it.
in their 20s. We're going to rely on people in their 20s for anything? Oh,
I think maybe the only
Best
thing is
bars.
what's the best bar. Yeah.
that would be a
Well,
good
but go ahead.
category.
Make
I mean,
it-
I've
make
gone
it-
up there, so you pay like
I think it's 15, and you get $6 or $9 back at the bar. or something.
okay, so you get the first drink for the $9 or $8, whatever, and you sit on a terrible old sofa or something, and your view is not the stadium. You're over here on this side. You're looking at the parking lot where everybody parks.
Well, you can
and
look at
your,
the field.
Your view is eastern Colorado. It's not the mountains. It's not the baseball stadium. You can't see the stadium. You can't see right field.
It's Adams County.
You cannot see right field
Do you think
from
so-
up there.
do you think some
so? A
people-
guy hits a roller that's in right field. He's going to go for third. You can't see the runner. You can't see the outfielder. You can't see the ball. You're telling me, well, what is the purpose of that? Why don't you go to a bar where you can look at it on a big screen TV, and it's not going to
Well,
be.
again, nobody wants to watch the Rockies.
And
You're going
here's the
there to
other
drink
thing.
and be outside.
The
But also
par-
you
the
can if
parking
you
lot
stand up.
that I'm mentioning, in order to go up there to the bar, you got to have a parking place. You're parking in a parking lot, which is going to cost you more than the tickets. I mean, how many times have you parked that? And that's your view. Is you get to look at your. Pardon me. You get to look at your car the whole game. You could make sure nobody's breaking into your car, but there are 15 bars in Lodo that you can go to where you can watch the game on a big screen TV. You pay $2 for beer and happy hour, and you guys want to tell me that that's a great bar? I thought
not
instead
telling
of
you it's a
that,
great bar.
he
wouldn't
called Dick, the guy you like so much, called me out to the ballpark during the off season and showed me. We sat in the first base seats, and he showed me the party deck and how that was going to turn
Right.
the
Party
Rockies
dick
around.
or party deck?
Well, he is. That's his nickname.
Careful.
Yes. And I said to him, he goes, okay, so I'm looking up there, and they don't want to tear down the third deck up there, so they put in the party deck. He thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. I said, well, how about a kid's merry-go-round in left field? Because they were drawing poorly. You're talking about fan base, but they were drawing poorly. Instead of concentrating on analytics, on, I've already mentioned it, on players that are, who was one of their best players? Two of them were from Venezuela, if I remember correctly.
Cargo?
Yeah. And Galarraga
Yeah.
was one of their great players. They don't really concentrate on, and they've never concentrated. They've had one Japanese second baseman.
Kazmatsui.
Yes.
Yeah, and one guy that was in the minors that was from South Korea. That's what I said to Dick Monfort. There's the next best player coming out of Cuba. Do you remember any Cubans that they ever signed?
Not
Not off
offhand.
the top of my head,
And
no.
he said, I never heard of him. That's his first baseman, Todd Helton's retiring. Now, I'm a baseball fan. I'm a guy who who covered baseball forever. I know these people coming out of Cuba. I've been there. I've watched games there. And I said, Todd Helton's retiring. You can get this guy, and he won't cost that much to you. He said, I never heard of him. Well, I said, talk to your staff. And he comes back and he said,
They never heard of him.
well, they never heard of him either. Well, they
They'd
did
never
make
heard
an
of Cuba.
offer. They did make an offer of, I think it was $7 or $8 million a year. He went to the White Sox for like $10 million a year. Was most valuable player in the American League. Led the league in RBIs. Has had I don't know that
Jose
he's
Contreras.
retired yet.
Yeah, Jose Contreras.
Yeah, and why aren't, if somebody like me tells you that the party deck is not, that's not the right solution.
Yeah, the fans
That's
are saying
not how you keep in a
I
fan
want a
base. You
reliever.
get 20-year-olds that want to get a break on a beer or a drink and sit up there. Okay, why not sit in a real bar somewhere? That is the worst section in the entire ballpark. So you're not there for.
It's
Because
one
you're
of
not
the
there for baseball.
it's one of the safest places to go if you don't want to see the Rockies.
You know what's not safe, though? Is if you're like a Rocky first baseman in the first 3 innings in those twilight games.
Oh, man.
And it's a ground ball to third, and they throw over, and you're sitting down the right field corner, which I have. They can't see the damn
No.
ball. And how did you design? I mean, of
They
course,
started
field's
skipping it
beautiful,
in, yeah.
But how did they screw that up? I almost used another word. How did they screw that up where in the first 3 innings, if Todd Helton could have been killed by a throw coming across the diamond?
Well, I mean, you can go down. The Coors Field is located in the wrong direction.
It's pointing the wrong way.
Yes, for those kind of games, and also for you wanting to look at the mountains, which is the view, or downtown. You don't see the mountains. You don't see downtown.
You see
What do you
Adams County.
see?
Well, we do have the term southpaw originated from that, and it really did, and that's why we have east paws
Yes.
when our lefties come in. So
Well,
but
that
that's
was
been the Rockies have done everything possible to screw this up.
God, we've spent this whole show just like
Well, we've stayed on.
Killing
the
a
After the
dead
Horn
dog.
Rockies edition.
We've stayed away from it because people don't really care.
that was.
I think the
why-
offseason
What we're
triggers
talking
people,
about
though,
is why
that they're-
people don't really care. And
That-
the reason
that's-
why it's a subject now is, okay, you got 2 guys, you're going to pick one, and we're going to know in 4 or 5 years whether this was a good signing because you haven't signed people that were any good. You did sign a guy from Harvard who got rid of your best player.
But even if it
maybe
had
in
been one of
history.
those 2 guys, there's no splash. People don't know who they are. Then it's going to take years for them to have any effect on
And
the
at the
product.
end of the day, unless the ownership changes the way they view things, it doesn't matter who they hire. It really doesn't. Unless you go out, again, at the risk of repeating myself, and hire Dave Dombrowski and give him a 5-year deal for $40 million
With a
and
budget.
say, listen, this is your team. I'm the owner, but you are making every baseball decision. Now, if you want to spend $50 million, you at least got to run it by me. But other than that, you run it, and I will stay the hell out of the way. If you're not going to do that, forget it.
Why would I do
And
it?
that's my grinding my gears.
Do you have a brief?
can I just
here?
say
I
this?
don't have a brief one after that. I have.
Can
no
I
one
do
left.
just 1 minute
Of
Sure.
course.
at the end of the show?
Of course you can.
I was doing some research the other day about the ownerships. And Crocky, I didn't realize this. Enos Stanley Crocky
Silent stand to those that know him better.
Yeah, named for 2 Hall of Famers in baseball. Was a gigantic baseball fan when he was a kid listening to St. Louis Cardinals. He owns more franchises than anybody. He's got 7 franchises. I didn't know there was a women's arsenal, but they've been very successful over the years. And he's got $21 billion in franchises. And guess what? It's worked out okay with his son, Josh. We have criticized, and Arsenal still criticizes Stan Kroenke all the time. We've criticized him about the Nuggets, about the Avalanche. We don't care about the Rapids, the Mammoth. Mammoth is so unrecognizable that the Salt Lake City hockey team just stole their name.
Yeah.
But Kroenke should have. That's what's funny. He's the biggest fan of baseball. And so he reached out to the Monforts years ago and said, do you want to talk about the possibility of that? And they said, no, not at all. We're not getting rid of it. So you've got a guy that is a baseball fan that's he's worth $40 million.
And a track record of success.
Yeah. And they won't sell it to him. So people always say, why don't they sell the team? Well, there's a guy there, and people want them to sell the team to the Walmarts. Well, he is the Walmarts. His wife is Ann
Exactly.
Walton. We don't. I would just assume that the Walmart people that own the Broncos,
The Walton Penner Group.
you stay with that. Do that. You're doing a good job.
Yep.
You are going to have a stadium. Stay with that. We don't want you screwing up the Rockies. But Kroenke is a baseball fan. He's named for 2 Hall of Famers, and yet they won't even talk to him about
The
possibly
They don't want.
selling
They,
him.
no, of course not. They're not going to sell that. Guys like the Monforts and people that own sports franchises, they don't buy them to sell them.
Well, they
They're
remind me a little bit
assets.
of Pat Bowlen, though, in that I think they have so much of their value tied up in something they own, but it's not cash rich. Pat Bowlen always had to run a
Yeah.
tight ship. He didn't have
He
extra
was
money
borrowing
floating
money all the
around.
time.
People in Boston want John Henry to sell the Red Sox, and he finally came out and he said, "They're an asset. I have a portfolio. I didn't build this portfolio by selling assets."
How'd that go over with Patrick and Lansdowne
Yeah,
Street?
he wasn't that thrilled about it. But the point is, I don't think Dick and Charlie Monfort have the same type of portfolio as John Henry
The
does.
great teams here are mostly built on the strength of a certain unique individual. Pierre Lacroix was that guy.
Yes.
Mike Shanahan was that guy with Pat Bowlen. You see it, for the Nuggets, it was built on the oddity of drafting at 42nd and finding the biggest golden nugget you could ever imagine. But you're going to need that guy. And are the Rockies going to find that guy, hire that guy, lure that guy in?
No.
It seems unlikely, but
No, it's not unlikely. The answer is no.
it's less likely than
It's
drafting 42nd
It-
Nikola
it'd be
Jokic.
it would be more likely that the New York Giants would fire Brian Daboll and replace him with Mike Shanahan, which I thought about while I was shaving today. And I said, if I was John Mara, I'd call Mike Shanahan.
Sure.
He's a young 73. I know he wouldn't want to coach against his son, but they could do better than hiring another stupid-ass coordinator who's never been a head coach and has no track record of success.
gears.
Hey, we're all older. I'm not going to ageism in this and say that Mike Shanahan couldn't coach. What do you think? He could come back and coach and be successful.
Well, John Elway was trying to bring him back, and
Yeah.
that situation
Or even
would
Kyle
have
then.
kind of
Yeah.
changed the direction of the team. And I just am stunned. I'm stunned that you would be shaving and thinking about the Giants should hire as the coach. I go, can you?
I do
I
a
don't
lot
care
of-
how
I
old
do
you
a lot
are.
of stupid
I know you
things,
play
all right?
golf all the time, and I
Yes.
know but get a life.
Well, I don't really have a life. You know
I,
what
br-
I,
I,
was doing? I'm
I
gonna tell you
sort
what I
of
was
said,
doing. This
let's
is
do
bad.
this. This is a life.
I was shaving, which I knew I didn't have to shave to come in here, but I decided to do it anyway.
Uh-huh.
I was shaving, and I do this sometimes because you have Alexa. It's so great. You can go, Alexa, turn on WFAN.
Give me some
just
New
so I
York.
can hear what these people are saying. And the guy comes on this morning, and he goes, Brian Daboll, New York accent. Brian Daboll, got to get him out of there. Got to get Joe Shane out. And they're talking about bringing Bill Belichick back, and I'm thinking, have you people followed Bill Belichick in the last couple years? Is
Hasn't
that
been
really
great.
what you
Yeah.
want? And I
I-
thought Shanahan would be, if you're going to hire a 73-year-old guy, don't hire Belichick with the 20-year-old girlfriend. Hire Grandpa Mike Shanahan, because he'll come in and he'll do a good job
He'll give
with
you
the young
24/7.
quarterback.
Okay, that's Ron Zappolo grinding his
Grinding
own
my
gears.
gears.
When he said he had nothing, but when he shaves, he always gets something.
I was making a sandwich,
Well, yeah.
and I was
Yep.
thinking about the St. Louis Blues power play. And I
I
didn't
had
even-
this coming. Bring it on.
I was watching the Nuggets, and I was thinking
Thinking.
about. So I said to Alexa, is it time for me to go to bed?"
What did
and
she
Alexa
say?
said, "Your bed is ready
you
for
go?
you to come to bed." No, she didn't say. I got a he, son.
Alex, hello. So we want you to know that I know a lot of you listen to the podcast, but unlike a lot of ESPN programming, we're also available on YouTube if you want to watch the show as well as listen. So we invite you to do that. Or we love to see you like and subscribe in any format, audio or video. And if you want to give us some feedback, well, we'd love to hear from you as well. ATH@guerrillasports.net. Fellas, it's been
Fun.
an enlightening show, unless you're a...
Hey,
I
you know
was-
what? Maybe
Well,
we'll
tell
have
your
Dick- maybe
Alexa
we
to
can get
pull
Dick
up
Monfort
after
on
the
next week.
horn on Spotify.
Maybe we should get Dick on next week.
If he'd come on.
I thought we
Why
did
don't you just
3
call Taylor up?
every week.
How does that work? Right, Natasha, do that again. Alexa can do that.
Oh yeah, you could say like Alexa, play After the Horn on Spotify.
Like when
After the Horn Weekend Edition, which we will be filming soon.
That's why Natasha gets the big bucks.
Oh, God.
Thanks for being a part of this. We enjoy the mess that it is, but it's a lot of fun. We hope you enjoy it too. And we hope to see you back here again next week.